gym. He's in the gym and is actually in the gym, and of course putting up some training down there. Jerry, what do you make of it? Eddie Hearn hinting that Anthony Joshua, of course, might be back this year, in the ring. You think this would be a good decision, or he should possibly take a rest and try most kind of course to equip himself before coming back next year?
Well, such a good news at this point in time. Very palatable to the ear, hearing our own Anthony Joshua coming back into the ring once more again after that horrible defeat to Daniel Dubois in September of 2024. It actually spells good for Anthony Joshua and also boxing lovers such as myself in order to see him back in the ring again. His promoter has actually said it's a 50-50 thing, seeing him this year. But even if we're not going to see him this year, but we don't want to see him come 2026. Anthony Joshua is a formidable boxer, one of the greatest boxers in British history, carved the niche for himself over time. So we want to see him come back into the ring, even though that's not going to happen in 2025, but want to see that happen in 2026. So congratulations to him once more again for this news. At least we wanted to hear something like this, perhaps at a later time, but God's intervention is coming at this point in time. So we are very, very hopeful for Anthony Joshua to return to the ring. We are rooting for him. Also going into the match after his return, we want him to actually grab a win at that. Very, very horrible knockout, Daniel Dubois, back then in September, but we're happy that the Nigerian-rooted boxer is actually back in the ring.
All right, let's see how it goes. Anthony Joshua looking forward, of course, to bounce back after staying away for almost a year. And we'll see, of course, if he will, of course, get back to the ring this year, just like you've heard from Eddie Hearn. Of course, we're actually taking a look at him getting to the ring with Jake Paul, but I think Jake Paul is actually, of course, engaged. He has a fight, so maybe Joshua might possibly look for another opponent, this time. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up for the return of Anthony Joshua. Former two-time UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya has fallen out of the top five rankings following the latest update released by the Ultimate Fighting Championship 2 days after UFC the Nigerian New Zealander who previously held the number 5 spot dropped to number 6 after Brandon Allen climbed 4 places to 5th following his victory over Rania the rider of the Vancouver events. The update faced a brief delay due to an outstage that disrupted multiple platforms. Allen's ascent came after he forced the Riders' Corner to stop their bout ahead of round 5, sending repos through the middleweight division. The rider subsequently dropped to number 8, while former champion Robert Whittaker fell to number 9, and Jad Coneno climbed back to number 10. The ranking drop marks another difficult moment for Adesanya, who around the same time last year was also removed from the UFC pound-for-pound ranking. Following his loss to Dricus Du Plessis and replaced by Aljamain Sterling. Well, what do you make of it? Adesanya not in the top 5 as it stands. What could be the reason for this setback for Israel Adesanya?
High level of inactivity. That actually led to his dethronement by Brendan Allen at this point in time. We understand that Brendan Allen moved 4 places up, and moving 4 places up, he had to dethrone Israel Adesanya. And now Israel Adesanya sits in number 6, if I'm not mistaken, and it's really, really bad. It's really bad news for us as UFC lovers, because we love to see Adesanya, Israel, on our screens, making Nigeria proud, flying the green, white, green flag over there. Yes, we understand his defeat to Du Plessis. That has to do with where he lost out in that encounter, and it actually spells bad for him subsequently, and also losing the middleweight title. It doesn't really spell good for Israel Adesanya at this point in time, and in a situation where he has been inactive for quite a long time, it actually spells bad, because when you're inactive, then there are others who are actually active in the ring, active in the fight, and they will definitely push up the ladder, thereby dethroning you. So now Israel Adesanya has been dethroned to number 6 position, and we want to see him fight his place back into the top 5. It's not going to be an easy one for him, but we actually want to see him fight back his place into the top 5. And kudos to him because he's one of our own, and we want to support him on every front. So at this long run, we want to really advocate that he should return back into activity in the UFC for him to be amongst the top first 5.
All right, let's see how it goes. Of course, for Israel Adesanya, we're waiting forward, to see his return to UFC. The man is really dropping, when it has to do with the rankings as it stands. So, him coming back and getting into action, I think that's, of course, will help him to move forward. Not just getting into action, but winning games or winning fights, as it stands. But away from that, we understand that Victor Wembanyama scored 40 points as the San Antonio Spurs started their season with a convincing 125-92 win over the Dallas Mavericks. The Frenchman making his first appearance in the regular season since undergoing surgery on his shoulder for deep vein thrombosis in February, recorded the fifth 40-point match of his career. The 21-year-old's performance overshadowed a nervous start from Cooper Flagg's on his NBA debut. The 18-year-old, the #1 overall pick in the 2025 draft, became the second youngest starter in NBA history behind LeBron James on his Mavs debut. But the teenager struggled to impose himself, failing to score until the second half and finishing on 10 points, where Bayama, by contrast, had 21 points by halftime and displayed little weakness after his 8 months absence. Philadelphia 76ers rookie VJ Combe scored the third most points of a debutant in NBA history in his side 117-116 win over the Boston Celtics. His 34-point haul was the most any debutant has managed since Wilt Chamberlain hit 43 points on his Philadelphia Warriors bow in 1959. Elsewhere, OG Anunoby, who was born in England but moved to the US when he was 4 years old, hit 24 points and recorded 14 rebounds as the New York Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 119-111 to give Mike Brown victory on his first outing as head coach. Away from NBA this evening, let's take a look at the latest coming from football as Remo Stars preparation for their CAF Champions League a return leg against Mamelodi Sundown have been thrown into disarray following visa delays by the South African Consulate General in Lagos. According to Newsmen, the Nigerian club's early application for travel documents only from what we're seeing at this point, Jerry, we understand that the visa, of course, has been delayed. Mamelodi Sundown, I beg your pardon, Remo Stars do not have access to their visas. We understand that out of about over 40-something visas being actually applied for, about 12, of course, has been ready as it stands, and they don't have, talking about those 12, we don't have enough players, being given, of course, or probably their visas, being prepared at this point in time. What do you make of this visa delay? You think is actually a means of frustrating Remo Stars ahead of the encounter this weekend?
It's one of the means of frustrating Remo Stars because visa delay. All of these are supposed to be approved before this time, and yes, the first leg, the outcome of the first leg wasn't even favorable at all. And when you look at it, it really shows that yes, it's going to be a thick and fierce contest over there in South Africa. Yes, one of the tactics they have employed in order to frustrate Remo Stars is by denying them, not actually deny, but delay in their visa. It actually spells bad for Nigeria and Nigerian football entirely, because when you look at out of 40-something, 40 plus, you just have only 12 that have been approved. At this point in time, we need a situation whereby it's supposed to be everyone who has applied or who needs to be on that plane to Johannesburg to be approved. So at this point in time, it doesn't spell good for us, and it's also a very, very big mechanism in order to weigh Remo Stars down. We understand that the win margin of Mamelodi Sundowns when they came down to Nigeria is wide. But remember, this is football. We can go there and upturn everything into our favor. So they're looking for every avenue in order to weigh us out, in order to mentally drown us. But we refuse all of these hurdles, and we're going to go past them, fly to Johannesburg, try to score goals and get the desired result in order to upturn the deficit in which we already created the last time out. The last time we played that game, Mamelodi Sundowns got a 5-1 win against Remo Stars, and it wasn't good at all. At this point in time, you may say it's impossible, it's slim, but this is football. Anything can happen. We can go there, score 4, score 5 past Mamelodi Sundowns, and definitely we'll get into the next phase of the tournament. So very, very interesting one there. But we don't want to see this sham again, and we just want them to fly to Johannesburg and make sure that they square up very well against the opponent, talking about Mamelodi Sundowns.
All right, let us see how this one, of course, will go down. We understand that officials of the club expressed concern that the delay could amount to an attempt to frustrate their participation in the return leg of the competition, which follows Sundowns' emphatic 5-1 win in the first leg. The incident mirrors a similar episode in September 2024 when the South African consulate in Abuja reportedly denied visas to Nigeria's Junior D Tigers basketball team, preventing them from attending an international engagement. Remo Stars are now racing against time to secure the remaining travel permits before the crucial fixture this weekend. All right, let's quickly stay away from that now as we take a look at how this one, of course, will pan out this weekend. We wish Remo Stars the very best and see how, and pray that they get, of course, their visas, to go execute this particular one. Flamingos head coach Bankole Oluwakere's can't hide his disappointment following his team's 1-0 defeat to France. The defeat was Nigeria's second at the ongoing 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Marcia Fatala scored the winning goal for France 9 minutes from time, and the Flamingos lost their first game 4-1 to Canada. They must now beat Samoa in the last game over this weekend to stand a chance of qualifying for the knockout round. Jerry, where did it go wrong for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria? They held France, of course, on to the very end of that game, but considered, late.
Where did they actually go wrong? We went wrong in the first game when we conceded 4 against Canada. It was actually a very, very big blow, a very, very big defeat. Going up until this point in time where we have actually scored 50 goals across so many games. The Flamingos performed creditably well, building up until this point in time. Then the first game against Canada, we're expecting the Flamingos to actually get a win. A 3-0 win against Canada. But at the long run, we actually lost that game 4-1, and it actually spells doom for us. And going into the game against France, yes, we put in all our best. We make sure that in the first 45 minutes of the game, we held France to a goalless draw, and we held them up until the 81st minute when Fatala had to put that ball at the back of the net. And that actually devastated all our minds and broke our minds. And we kept on fighting up until the last minute of the game, but we're not able to pull 1 goal back or pull 2 and get the 3 points at this point in time. So we sit third on the table, and the next we're going to face Samoa, and we need to have an emphatic win over Samoa in order to qualify as best losers from the group. So at this point in time, we now start punching our calculators. If these are able to win this, come on, we have done that with the Super Eagles already, and we're still punching that calculator up until this time. Now we're doing that with the Flamingos. Let's see how it's going to pan out on the 25th of October 2025. If they're going to get an emphatic win against Samoa, that will actually suffice to take us into the next round of the game via the best loser position.
Well, what do you make of it, in terms of the game pattern, the way, of course, they tend to play on the pitch? We've been talking about getting goals. First game, they were beating 4-1.
4-1, yes.
Talking like that, they concede, and then they find it difficult, of course, to score goals. What's really, the problem?
Building up onto this one, during the qualifiers, we actually scored a lot of goals, building up onto this one. But in just 2 games, we have conceded 5 goals. In just 2 games, we conceded 5 goals and just scored 1. So we're even owing goals, -4. We are owing goals. So I feel that the scoring booth of the strikers, I think they have not won it. They left it during the qualifiers and built it up onto this one because it's still the same tactics, still the same formation set, still the same players. So what changed? What changed is the fact that the strikers are not putting the ball at the back of the net, which is their primary duty. So I feel that they actually left their scoring boots behind, and they're coming into the tournament without them. And how do you expect to do that? Because the strikers' primary, yes, everyone can score a goal, and in football, but it behoves of the striker to do that because that's his job. That's his job. The midfield doing fantastically well, but the striking position, I think they've lost that touch, lost that finesse in order to put the ball at the back of the net. So against Samoa, we need an emphatic win. We don't need a 1 or 2-0 win. We need a 4, 5, 6-0 win against Samoa in order to resuscitate our hopes into qualifying into the next round.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will go then. We'll pray that, of course, you know, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria will get the job done this time around. We'll take a break, and when we return from the break, of course, we'll bring you some exciting action from the UEFA Champions League. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I will bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport. Time to talk, of course, the UEFA Champions League on the show. And of course, we saw some results yesterday as Athletic Club beat Karabakh 3-1. Galatasaray beat Bodo Glimt 3-1. Atalanta played goalless against Lava Prague. Bayern Munich beat Club Brugge 4-0. Chelsea beat Ajax 5-1. Eintracht Frankfurt lost to Liverpool 5-1. Monaco played goalless against Tottenham Hotspur. Real Madrid, of course, beat Juventus by 1-0. Sporting Lisbon beat Marseille 2-0. All right, what do you make of it, Jerry? It was a very impressive one for Victor Osimhen. He scored 2 goals yesterday for Galatasaray. What do you make of his form? And according to what so many, of course, has been saying at this point in time, Osimhen looking forward, of course, to do something great with Galatasaray. What do you make of his form? And can he carry this Galatasaray side? Can he take them far in the UEFA Champions League this season?
Yes, Galatasaray actually recruited some good players in the recently concluded transfer windows, likes of Larasani, Ike Gondwan, and also to an extent Victor Osimhen, who have been with them for the past this is the second year running now. With the firing power of Victor Osimhen, you can actually say that he is carrying Galatasaray on his shoulders right now. Yesterday he had a brace, and it actually spells good for Galatasaray, which is a back-to-back win and in the Champions League for them. Very, very good result for them going into the next game. So, to an extent, Victor Osimhen is Galatasaray, and Galatasaray is Victor Osimhen at this point in time. If you remove him from that team, I think the team just has 40% to offer. But if you put him in that team, I think from 90 to 100%, they can actually give you the goal. So, very, very good one for the Nigerian-born striker. He's actually doing his best, ranked among the first 3 strikers in the world. First 3 strikers in the world at this point in time. So we want to see him replicate that in Galatasaray and also in the green and white jersey, talking about the Nigerian Super Eagles.
You talked about him being ranked, first 3 strikers in the world, but some persons are not in that, position. You just, postulate at this point. Some are saying that he is the best striker in the world, especially Super Eagles coach Eric Chell, mentioned the fact that what's his name? Victor Osimhen is the best striker in the world. Do you think he is the best, or just like you mentioned, one of the best strikers in the world?
Yes, we have the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, and Victor Osimhen. That's why I said the first 3 in the world, because you just can't say he is just the best, because we have the likes of Kylian Mbappe and also Erling Haaland in the field. So for me, if you want to put it, I wouldn't say 1, 2, 3. No. I would just list them as the top 3 best strikers in the world. Eric Chell actually said he is the best striker in the world. No doubt, I agree with him. But you also have others to consider when he has to do it, putting the ball at the back of the net and being a point man and a striker. So congratulations to him. He's doing a fantastic job. We saw what he did right from his days in Lille, building up onto Napoli, and also now in Galatasaray. So very, very good one to watch. And we don't want to see Victor Osimhen out of our screens anytime soon. We just want to see him don the Super Eagles jersey and also club side jersey.
All right, let's see how it goes, of course, for Victor Osimhen. But Jerry, Liverpool, of course, they have to put up a comeback, after having a poor run. They beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1, in that encounter. And one of the surprising things from Anslot was that he actually benched Mohamed Salah in that encounter. What do you make of the performance and, of course, Slots benching Salah in that game?
Yes, when you look at the man, Mohamed Salah is a very, very interesting figure, very formidable, very, very tactical, deadly in front of goal. But at this point in time, he's not in form. We have an out-of-form Mohamed Salah at this time. And now where Liverpool is not firing from all cylinders, having lost 4 games in a row, 3 games in the Premier League and 1 in the UEFA Champions League. And building up until this time, they needed an emphatic win. And they actually got it yesterday by going to Frankfurt and putting 5 past Frankfurt. That was actually a good display in order to revive their hopes in the Champions League, and going into the game against Brentford, we also hope they can win. So putting Mohamed Salah on the bench was actually a good one, actually worked out for him. Note, please, not that Mohamed Salah will not be able to put the ball at the back of the net during Frankfurt's game. But you also have more players that are in form and are doing pretty well, more than he's doing. We have not seen Mohamed Salah this season actually being prolific in front of goal, just like we saw last season when they were actually crowned champions. So at this point in time, we're seeing an aged Salah who is not fit, who is not in his best position, in his best form, in order to put the ball at the back of the net. So it's really a very, very sad one on this note, that the World Cup is just about, let's say, 7 to 8 months' time, and we're seeing a Salah that is rusty. So how would he be able to fire Egypt into stages in the World Cup? So very interesting that he was benched yesterday and Liverpool actually got the result. But we want to see the former footballer, African Footballer of the Year, also get back into his form, put on the scoring boot, and as well assume his position in which he has carved a niche for himself in Liverpool. So good luck to him.
Good luck, of course, to Liverpool, and we wish Mohamed Salah the very best of luck this season, and we pray that, of course, he will gain back his form. But away from that, let's also take a look at what Chelsea did. It was a record-breaking one, as it was a historic night at Stamford Bridge, one that perfectly captured the changing of a generation within Chelsea. In a matter of minutes, two Blues players broke the same record. The youngest goal scorer in the club's Champions League history, Maguire, made history. Briefly, the first to claim the record was Maguire, who opened the scoring against Ajax at 19 years and 291 days, surpassing Rich James' previous mark of 19 years and 332 days against the same opponent back in 2019. And short after then, we saw Estavo Williams, of course, coming up with another impressive goal down there. Jerry, what do you make of it? It was between Maguire and Estavo Williams on who, of course, will break that record of the youngest player to score, in the Champions League, for Chelsea. What do you make of it? And at the end of the day, it was Estavo Williams who did that, at the age of 18.
Such a good one for the former Palmeiras striker, winger, sorry. He has actually been able to come into this Chelsea team that is laden with stars, been able to break into the team. It's not really an easy one, getting playing time. You can understand that Chelsea has a lot of young players, has a lot of stars, and Estavo Williams is actually one of them. We're yet to even see a certain Liam Delap, the former Ipswich striker, also feature due to injury. I heard he's back, he's not fully fit. And we want to actually say that Enzo Maresca is actually doing his best to make sure that he brings out the quality out of all of these players. We're sitting in a certain Romeo Lavia even being introduced into the fray. So kudos to Estavo Williams yesterday, scoring that goal and making sure that he's the youngest player in Chelsea to actually put the ball at the back of the net when he has to do with Champions League football. So congratulations to him.
Congratulations, of course, to Estavo Williams. But let's, of course, bring you some results coming in from the Europa League, as Brand, of course, currently leading against Rangers 1-0. Salzburg leading against Ferencváros 1-0 down there. And Bologna leading against FCSB. The likes of Fenerbahce, of course, leading against Stuttgart 1-0. And again, currently playing goalless against Real Betis. And Go Ahead Eagles, currently they're, of course, they're playing 1-0 at the moment against Aston Villa. Lyon, of course, currently leading against Basel 1-0. Braga leading, of course, against Venza 1-0. Those are some of the results, of course, we've seen. So there are Europa League games tonight, and we also see some UEFA Conference League games. So promises to be another exciting night, in the world of football. But we have to, of course, call it a wrap at this point on the show. Special thanks to Jerry for doing justice on the show. And of course, we can't go without telling you that Victor Osimhen is a sports extraordinaire on the show. The forward edged his name in the history books as the first Galatasaray player to score in 7 consecutive European games. And with that, he is a sport extraordinaire on today's edition of the show. You can go down to our different social media handle, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.